All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. First off, Trump is disconnected. That's why his talking points are going south. So you have to reconnect Trump because he's not receiving the inferences. I don't see him. I haven't seen him in days inside. Right? And I'm part of the people that help him think through the issues inside. So he's completely disconnected. I mean, y'all sound like idiots. Now, I want to explain something what Elon Musk did this morning. So you're trying to get people past the confirmation. Some of your people were asked questions that they couldn't answer, including when they were sitting in a senator's office, that kind of thing. Right. So Elon shows the FAA guy. Again, it's his personal little dalliance. And he couldn't answer questions, and it looked pretty bad. But it's not time to push that out there. Because what he's doing is he's helping those that are coming against the nominees. Because there's only one energy in that direction. So if he's condemning a nominee for something, then our nominees, that energy will condemn nominees. That's the way that the system works. That's like I said, if you engage in the death penalty, then you're part of killing and you actually power murders. It's a catch-22. Well, because the system doesn't say you're necessarily correct and they're wrong. You're just making an argument to kill somebody. They make an argument to kill somebody, and that's how the system sees it. So if they power murder, then murder's okay. If you power the death penalty, then the death penalty is okay. You see? I agree. I finally had to just, mute him. Just too much shit all the time. Too much distraction. I mean, it's still going to be out there. It's still going to be a distraction. And you sound ignorant with this DEI, all of you. Agreed. And you're really not about meritocracy. So you have to make sure you're about meritocracy. Because once you push meritocracy and you go away from meritocracy and go to cronyism, then the system kills you with your own power. Because you powered meritocracy and then didn't adhere to it. No. There's no reason that anybody's doing this to me because it's a violation of law. It's stalking. You can stalk someone over the internet, and it's the same people that stalked me in life when I used to go to the store. So again, obviously, it would be internet stalking because they physically stalked me. I mean, it's the biggest open and shut case. I'm sorry. You're not sorry for what's going on. Quit putting that out there. So what happened is I tried to pay my bills today. And I actually had a little bit extra money because I took that loan, But it didn't turn out as nice as I wanted it to because I got COVID. I had to spend extra money. And again, it turned out pretty nice because I bought 2 new phones and got a big discount, nice phones. And I was able to pay them off this payday. But as I'm trying to do that, it's just pushback, pushback, pushback. I'm like, what gives? I mean, every month they curse me to mess up my. What they do is they try to, when they know I pay my bills at certain days. Again, they're stalking me. Probably have access with a toolkit and can see that I'm in my banks and everything. Probably watching my bank interaction, right? Using some law enforcement system and tool that they're not supposed to use. Some spycraft law system and tool they're not supposed to use. Right. So I just about done, and the thing came up, it explains things at times, and it says, she fantasized, and the guys with her, fantasized that you were going to use all that money in your bank account that you had to pay these bills with to flee your apartment. And then they get a big bonus. Like I was going to buy out of my apartment, get a moving truck, or throw everything away. That's what they're fantasizing about. That's what they're doing all morning. Because they want $100,000 a piece or whatever it is they're going to pay them, maybe even $1 million. And you think this nation's going to stand? You think your planes are going to stay up in the air? That's what it's about, all of you. Agreed. Somebody has to tell you it's the truth. No, it's not in bad taste. She says it's bad taste. The cronies with her say it's bad taste because they're criminals. And they don't want you to know that they're living large while they're destroying the rest of the nation. Now, I told you, when you take the office of the presidency, when you take the presidency, once you get in that office, there's going to be a drawdown. And it's not going to be as easy to play that game because now you're in the hot seat. But you're still playing the game. Right. DEI. I mean, you sound pretty ignorant, all of you. Well, you have the party faithful, and you're all going DEI on X. I actually have. The weird part is I can go to truth and feel comfortable. On X, it's like disgusting. Right. But again, I have to stay there to communicate. And that's if they're letting the communications go through. I don't know. You can't trust the current people in X or running X. Agreed. Again, it appears that you're either allowing deep state or you might actually be running a deep state. Before you even start moving on the deep state, you start moving a deep state. I mean, that's strange. And you're going to kill yourselves because you're going to be saying deep state, deep state, deep state, and then you're the deep state. The system's going to drop you down. That's probably what it did last time. See, now I get to see more. So yeah, they were just trying to kill me all morning while I was trying to, and it isn't just all morning. So I had a bad sleep last night. Yesterday was kind of weird. Right. But I couldn't figure out why yesterday went so weird, but it's because they're launching the attack on my bill pay. And they actually thought I was going to take like this measly $5,000 and buy out my apartment. Because they break in here and try to drug me and everything else. Curse them, curse their families, curse their organizations, curse anybody that supports them. They're a pariah. Get away from them. Sealed. Sorry, Larry. So again, they take kindness as weakness. Right. They do it every time. They're just sickos. There's no such thing as sorry in your lives, all of you. You could pay me my money and I can get up out of here and I probably have a better life. But if you don't want to, fine. Well, let God handle it. Every curse I ever make goes through God, so God handles it. I have no power within myself. If I did, I'd probably be a millionaire, but then I'd be going against the will of God. And God doesn't want me poor. But if I were to have $1 million, it would cause a loss. So there's only one way. Again, you know the system. You know how you got your money. You know you owe me. 100%. No, nobody makes money without them saying, they get money. No, it's that bad now. Been like that for 20, 30 years. Hang on a second. All right, back again. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. No, you're actually overdue from 20 years ago paying me. 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So essentially, Hegseth, you probably, everything I said was happening somewhere. Right. Obviously, that was theoretically a mission essential. I don't know how mission essential it is. First off. Second, they're saying it was 100 foot above where it was supposed to be, and maybe that's the problem. But again, this is something that's routinely happening. Somebody in the military should have taken care of this issue, or somebody in the FAA, whoever. And again, it's not an issue that only was under the Biden administration. Again, apparently these helicopter flights have been going on for a long time, and under the last Trump administration, it was still a problem, but we didn't know about it. Now that we know about it, any flight that doesn't have to go that way doesn't go that way. That unit or parts of the unit could be moved possibly. I don't know how full up Andrews is. If they come in from Andrews, they're further away from Reagan National. Right. So there shouldn't be an issue. Now, they're using the Potomac, as I thought, to move. It's just easier to navigate up the Potomac. Right. But essentially, this is the thing. Everybody knows flying with night vision goggles could get you killed. Does it happen? Yeah, every so often. We know that it's dangerous. So every time we fly with night vision goggles that direction by flying through the flight path of Reagan National, we are risking civilians as military. And that's not supposed to happen. Now, their mission seems pretty important. I think you could maybe house them somewhere else. And if they came in from Andrews, about the same time period. And then again, also, you don't have to worry about Reagan National clearance. I don't think you would have to. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I don't think you have to worry about much, as you do now. So I guess apparently the day before, they had to abort a landing for the same reason. So again, it's ignorant to keep doing it. So you just change regulations and policies and maybe even placement of the units. I mean, if they have to be at Fort Belvoir, then they have to be there. Do they have to fly up the Potomac, or can they go around the other way? Just skirt that area and go. I don't know how much further they would have to go, but and then enter the Potomac on the other side of the airport, if they actually have to do that at that point. There's also other options as far as timing. Yeah, I know it's quiet time, but we can give up a little bit of quiet time for a couple of helicopters to fly that route. Theoretically, after midnight, it quiets down pretty much. But 2 in the morning, there's probably not that much traffic. So that I could see the vehicles on the. I don't remember the time, but I do remember the vehicles on the road. So it's a pretty busy time in that area. And it's weird because I drove around that area quite a bit. And I think I healed it. I remember coming across this road and looking at the John F. Kennedy Center, and I knew I had been around the airports. I was doing a lot of, not a lot, but a bit of traveling around the Capitol for a little bit while I was healing stuff. So Hegseth there's multiple things we can do. It's not only Hegseth. Obviously, the tower is supposed to have an additional person. But again, that just shows you how stupid it is. You have this person assigned to the helicopter because it's just so dangerous, that kind of travel in that area. So again, you had ideas that there was a danger. There's maybe something that could have been done. Again, DC is pretty thick, but again, there's a lot of vacant buildings. I don't know if you can just drop some buildings and put some helicopters in. Build a little air base, but not wouldn't be the size of Bellevue or anything else. But again, you could have a protected site that just does that particular mission, where the helicopters are actually somewhere north of there, north of Reagan. The helicopters come up out of some sort of, you could even build walls around it, like, the green zone. So you build something like that if you can get some space in DC to build in. You may have actually a building you could just take out and then replace it with a walled-in area. Make it look aesthetically pleasing for DC, but inside that walled-in area is all your helicopters. So they actually are up in DC if you can find some space like that. There's probably some buildings take up a whole city block, and they may not be used. So you take that. It would take a while to take it down. It's a lot of effort, but you take. And again, we're sensitive to all this kind of stuff. But you take it down, then you build like a green zone wall around it, and then when it comes time, your helicopters are right there. You just up in the air, and they're go get the dignitary. There's a lot of things that we can do. I don't know if you'll find that space in DC, but you might. It just doesn't make sense for this to keep going. So is the east side, which is the far side from the airport. They do stay as far as they can away from the airport, and I guess it's almost near the middle of the river or something. But again, when it comes to night vision goggles and that kind of travel, it's kind of risky. There's a lot of light. The lights are changing, flashing. Initially, they were saying it was just a training flight where they were getting their annual certification for flight. That's what what came out. But obviously, it's something different. But it doesn't mean that we need to leave it like it is. Agreed, Larry. Agreed, sir. And I know Trump's helicopters are over at Joint Base Andrews, and might be a reason to put it over there. It's kind of a similar mission. Right. I don't know if you have space. and then the angle into the zone of operation is a lot different and a lot further away from that mess. You might find that you can actually move some helicopters from Andrews or some aviation asset from Andrews to another location and then move those helicopters in because they are, I see them as a national, if they are what they say they are, a national security effort. No, I can't see Trump, so I'm not receiving Trump and Trump's not receiving me. I mean, that's what happened in the first administration too. Him and I were connected. I could see him every so often. And, it's not like a long drawn out thing. Right. So inside Trump's head, I don't know what his capabilities are, his psychic, intuition, but he has something in his head and it's me. And he receive, his thought, my thought, and you'll see it change, because he just changed again and it's all messed up. There's nothing wrong with saying DEI at the right time, right place, and explaining meritocracy. Again, meritocracy is a word that most people don't understand. So you have to speak plain English. That's what God told me. Like sometimes people accuse me of things because I don't speak something exactly from the Bible or, like the word for word. God told me, he said, just speak to people. Just speak plain English. If it's got to be, speak Ebonics if you have to, but get the message out. Right. So again, there's a lot we can do. It was an effort, something that, again, the president doesn't know about that. Is that guy, the FAA, that looked kind of weird, the guy Biden put up. But again, let's try to be more positive. Again, in the election, you won with negativity, but you're in the hot seat. And there's also metaphysics at play. You can actually take your own power out by saying something against somebody else, but do the same thing they do, just kind of different, like politically different, but it's still the same action. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, sir. It's a really bad sinus time period. I didn't sleep too well. It's kind of sad, but another month it clears up a bit when it starts warming up. When I go outside, my sinuses will clear, and then I come back in here and they start getting messed up again. I'm just telling you, the curses are out there. Jesus even cursed people that if you touch me and do something negative to me, it affects all of you. And Paul did the same thing. And even some of the prophets in the Judaism. Again, you're reading the words and you don't realize that they're curses. There's curses all throughout the scriptures. Actually, that woman was right. You got ahead of the investigation. Well, see, you were doing like again, it's just like when you're running for office, you're campaigning. You get your talking point out there real quick. But again, now that you're in the office, you need to slow down because he did that last time. He did slow down. Right. Again, it's good that he's going to go see the people. But when you go see the people, don't look like the president seeing people because that's, I think, what you were able to do the first couple of years. You just look like, like Donald going to see the people. You don't always, again, don't bring up politics. Right. Just speak to the people and I know I saw Melania hug one, but it's just different. Again, make the atmosphere a little warmer. Not just you, but the atmosphere. Because there it was just too disconnected. And again, the Secret Service is telling you to disconnect probably. So that's the quandary. and you know, at least seek something. Like the families, you could say, look, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to change whatever we need to change to make sure that doesn't happen ever again to anybody. Well, because the reality is that it's been happening. Every time they avert something, it's supposed to be fixed. Right. Right. Yeah, pretty much. Actually, the humidifier just went on. It's actually pretty humid outside. I have no idea why it's so dry in here. It makes no sense. My heat's not up. Makes no sense. It's 91% humidity outside and it's 51% humidity in here. It's raining. So again, I brought up several things that you need to look into doing. Again, those units might need to be relocated. Well, you may have traffic, helicopter traffic that travels south. That's maybe based north or whatever it is. They may be able to shuffle around some of the units and make the flight path make more sense. Also, no, it's just insane that they kept that going with all the complaints. And in fact, if they'd have did that 2 a.m, now again, I don't know how many times they have to pick somebody up and shuttle them around. But again, if that's not necessary to go that route, then you need to go a different route. And if that requires you to relocate the helicopters, then you need to do it. No, it was a glaring risk. So again, it doesn't really fall in the Trump administration, and it doesn't really fall in the Biden administration because I'm sure 10 years ago something was going on, right? Unless they took a different flight path. And again, they're saying he was 100 foot up, and that's the weird part. And maybe somebody like projected that in the mine. I don't know, but I did like they were talking about that the control the tower could have given them some different commands, and in the mind it said like go down 100 feet, like descend quickly 100 feet, and then like a day later it says he was 100 feet too high. So that's how I know it's real. Right. I'm doing like a psychic mind meld. Right. And when I say it says, it doesn't always say. Sometimes most of the time it's just a thought. It just comes up psychically. Right. Thank you, sir. So Hegseth is very important regardless of what we find. He obviously needs to straighten that out if he can. Again, I don't know if you can, but I think you can. There's so many different options on how to do this. Now, if they have to travel that way routinely to go to DC to give somebody a lift, there's a lot like if it's not there's different missions. One is the crisis emergency mission. Right? Then the other mission is, I guess they transport dignitaries. I think that's it. I don't know for sure. Right. So that there's no reason for them to have to go that direction. If they're going to transport a dignitary, they can maybe head east and then come up by Andrews and then head in. And that way they stay away from the airport. Right. I mean, it's that simple. If it's not an emergency, there's no reason that they can't take a small detour. And apparently somewhere there are people that are just, they prefer to take that route, and they, because it's, cool, instead of training somewhere else. And right. So that's going on somehow too. Like there's non-essential traffic. Again, I just articulated non-essential traffic. Right? There's no reason that if you're going to the Capitol building to pick up the senators, or I don't know who you all pick up, or the Pentagon, or right. Well, the Pentagon's a little trickier, I guess, because it's closer to Reagan National, I think. Right. But then again, you could also come in from a different direction also, right, to head west and swing around. Again, leave early, 15 minutes early or something. Right. So again, we know that we know Reagan National has just this crazy amount of flights in and out, but we also know that this helicopter thing has come up so many times in the last month or so that it's a given that it's been coming up for probably more than a decade, unless this is something new, that flight plan. And then again, if you want to certify for that, you can do it at 2 a.m. if you need to, and maybe it'd be more realistic for you, because right? Most military crisis training is done in the middle of the night to the early morning. Right. So again, it was a very busy time period, and it just shouldn't have happened. Now you had 2 pilots. Both, I imagine, had night vision goggles on. I don't know how they both couldn't see it, unless they were looking at something else that drew their attention, which is, the safety board might figure that out. Like what when they said they did see it, what were they actually looking at? Maybe in another flight somewhere further out. But again, if we can get rid of that, then we don't have to worry about it. Like once you have to stick the guy or gal in the tower to control that because it's so crazy, then you got to wonder if there's something else that can be done. That's when it should have been apparent. Well, I was looking at the flight list, and I think after midnight it slowed down a little bit. I guess it picks back up at probably about 3:34 or something. But the quiet hours are from, I guess, 10 to 7. So I imagine it starts changing during those hours. Like I said, everybody knows it's dangerous to fly with night vision goggles. You do it. You're in the military. You fly, and you fly in these helicopters. You're riding the helicopters, but it doesn't overwhelm you. But every so often, you're just cognizant if that pilot loses perception. I think I thought about it once, but if that pilot loses perception, we're done. Right. And I guess there were some crashes at Campbell over the years. But it's just, I remember it where you don't endanger civilians for nothing. I from what I can remember, there was a flight out to Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, from Fort Campbell, and the whole flight was as stark and rural as it could be. I think it was at nighttime. You'd see a light every so often, but it'd be like a country road, like an intersection light or something like that. I'm sure we could have went to a highway and rode the highway much easier, but we did. And I don't think we ever did. It was mandatory that you fly out the back 40 no matter where you were going. And then you take off from there if you went somewhere else. and maybe other people did, but that's generally. I don't think I remember a helicopter going over populated areas when it didn't have to. Right. So we're not only in a populated area, we're in a very high density area. And again, their mission is important, but maybe it can be rethought in a certain way. But yeah, Trump's out. I'm out. They put us out. That's why Trump's so wacky. Well, because we're usually in we right. I don't know if you know it. You don't live your life alone, even if you're asleep. There are people. If you have friends, I get a little help from my friends. Right. I'm connected to Trump for some reason. I don't know how it all works. It could be God. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's God, but I don't know what connected us. No, I saw him like I said, I saw him on television, and I'm like, I could see him just as I was waking up. I was in New Jersey, my mother's place. My stepfather was watching like the news or something, and I knew there was a connection, but I mean, you can't get anywhere. I'm a poor guy. If I was a rich guy, maybe I could. Right. But I thought your father was ignorant, and maybe he knows. Maybe he heard me make fun of him. Right. Apparently, we have that kind of thing going on. I don't know the extent of it, but right. Love, hate. Maybe something. I don't know. But we need to figure that out. HEGSES is in place. The NTSB is in place. So no matter what the NTSB does, the military needs to figure out that whole mess. And it's not HEGSES' fault, but he's here to fix it. And I'm hoping he's that type of person. We don't have to blame DEI all day, okay? There's issues going on, and we need to fix them. So whether DEI caused them or not, let's focus. Because remember, people that are families of these people that passed on in this crash, they could get offended by that. So we don't need to go there. Right? Let's get out of that mode. Let's get into the mode where we're going to take care of the people that we serve, and that's it. So HEGSES has a big mission because he has to see if he can do something better with those helicopters than Fort Belvoir. Now, maybe that's the only place you can put them. I don't know. But again, you can juggle some things around. So if they're a national security effort, and again, if there's probably stuff at Andrews that are that. Maybe there's stuff at Andrews that aren't that, and they could be moved to Andrews. And I'm getting the gist that they can be. So they come in a different angle at that point. And again, swing wide if you need to. If it's not like crisis actually, or maybe if you want to do the certification more real than anything else, then you could. But do it at a time when there are not that many flights. And actually, that's the way the government usually, or the military usually trains. They would be doing that at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Maybe they get waken up at 2, at 3 o'clock. They take off or whatever. I don't know. They may have a 15-minute window. I don't know what they do. Well, because some of those efforts, you actually there's pilots that are billeted, like on-call pilots, or I think is what it is. They're billeted near the aircraft, and then they run to their aircraft. And it's like got like at the most probably even 10 minutes to get up off the ground and going. That's one of my ideas too, for a couple of missions. I don't know if they ever did it. Thank you, Larry. So again, let's just be more sensitive to the fact that there were Democrats on that plane, and there's Democrats in the family. Actually, if you look at the 2 kid skaters, they have rainbow socks on. That could be a sign that they're part of the liberal wing of government. Right. Thank you, Larry. So let's slow that down. We can always find a time to present a study on how DEI affected that if we need to, or if it's even true. Right. So now let's just focus on safety. So the best thing for the administration to do is take that standpoint that you're going to stop this no matter what. Don't bring up DEI. Say Hegseth is going to look into how we're conducting those missions. Again, it's not Hegseth's baby as far as his responsibility. He just got there. I believe it probably went back further than Trump's previous administration. So again, maybe presidents for 20 or 30 years. And again, at what point did it become a risk? But again, flight traffic has increased over the years. Right. You probably 1995 it wasn't a big deal. So again, if he was 100 feet up, or she, I don't know who was flying at the time, then that's probably a big deal. But don't let that be. That's a red herring. I'm just telling you that, right? Because if you reroute it and they're 100 feet up, it probably doesn't matter. See? So you got to thread the needle at that location. Whereas if you take a different route, you don't have to thread the needle. Now you're supposed to maintain certain altitude, but again, it's not as detrimental. That's very detrimental right there. So if we can get out of that, then we fixed it. Right. But again, there's still helicopter traffic there, and we have to relook at that. Well, yeah, you can see. You all want to say it's just the control tower. Well, no. I mean, why cause that misery? Again, it's a place where they couldn't put people. For some reason, nobody wants to work there. Maybe they can't hire people. I don't know. Maybe everybody uses marijuana and they can't work in the FAA. I mean, that could be it. Right. Regular. Maybe it's too stressful. So again, it's kind of one of those things like a catch-22, or it feeds on itself. It's so stressful, nobody wants to work there, so you don't have enough employees, so it's even more stressful. Regular. Well, just the president. Everybody should just be quiet about DEI. Just remind everybody that there were probably liberals on the plane, and the family members could be liberal, and right. So at this point, let's not go there. And it's pretty much because Trump's out. I can't see him. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what it was. That's like seemed weird for a couple of days. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway. And yeah, so I do channel the protection of God. So if you're killing me and I go down, then you could lose the protection of God. That's the other one. My phone's doing crazy stuff. But yeah, I was trying to figure out what's going on this morning. I'm like, why is there so much pushback to pay my bills? Because they were fantasizing that I would take all that, little bit. I didn't have extra because I had to buy phones, but they would take that I would take that extra and all my pay and just run out of here and buy out. And you got to pay like 2 months or something when you leave early. Right. So that's why I can't leave unless you pay me money. And you probably want me to leave. Believe me. Regular. The difference between bad luck and good luck in your world. Right. Man, it's obvious that it's risky to get massages here. I can't stay here. Right. See, and that's their will that calls that. From one trapped in the next. They're sickos. And all I would need is like just some money, and they never would have been able to do this to me. But that's why they blocked the money. If I had a house, it'd be harder for them to do it. That's why they blocked the house. Like, come on, if I push through, what do? They get a realtor that says it's sold. Every time I get to near a house, it'll be sold before I get it. Right. But again, it won't be sold. It'll be sold by, criminal enterprise. Make sure. What kind of scams they're into. I think if there was anything else. Where's my phone? See, now I have two phones. I could look at the other phone while I'm doing this. It's just the tablet. The tablet I have is way too big. I mean, it's a nice tablet, but it's dated at this point a little bit. But well, as far as helicopter warned, I don't know if that was sufficient. Again, if the helicopter was 100 foot up, they should have known it and they could have said something. But again, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Okay, there was an issue the day before. Like on Drudge here, it says Black Hawk Down's American flight. Why? And then it says danger day before, but why? Because nobody fixed it. It was broken. Right. Like I was in the government, this shit happens all the time. Like I'd have to come along and fix it, or nobody fixes it. Right? They don't care, man. So again, putting a person of color or a woman in isn't the issue. If you were honestly putting the best person of color or the best woman or the best gay person, you'd be fine. And again, Trump knows he used those groups of people. So if they had put Christine Noem in the FAA, if they'd put Mr. Grinnell, if they put him in the FAA, if they put Ben Carson in the FAA, they would have effectuated the mission different if, in fact, it's what you say it is. Right. Where somebody was responsible for some sort of, dangerousness in flying. Now, you have to remember, flying today, everybody flies, or a lot of people fly. Back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you can go see the numbers decrease. Right. So again, the issue could be we just have too many flights. Again, even if everybody was right, you would still, Murphy would still get you. Murphy's Law would still get you to a larger number of crashes. Right. So again, it may not be anything other than you have more flights, so you have more crashes. Thank you, sir. But again, that's kind of a thread the needle thing by what I read, and you don't want to do that if you don't have to. If you can do something different, then you do it. It's like ants, ants just walking into the water, one after another. So I think, the reality is Mr. Hegseth's going to be the final hero in this thing, and he needs to really put some things out there. And then so again, this is a time to look at all helicopter operations. So you'll send information out, you'll send questionnaires, you'll tell people to start looking at the routes you're using. Is there something we can do more safe? We want to protect the civilian population, and unless it's mission essential, we need to stay away from those places with our helicopters. Right. Thank you, Orange. Now, there's another thing. Musk is effing off the FAA. Okay, he has to stop that. He was effing off Secret Service before. He has to stop that. Well, when somebody's leading the agency he doesn't like, he curses the agency to have issues. So this could be simply his curse of the FAA effectuating. Right. I mean, he's got projection power. He's got, all them billions. Right? And again, he powered up recently. Yeah, so I'm hearing somebody. Yeah, you can heal all that. You can heal air travel. Hegseth, you're in your position. You can heal the Department of Defense. You can use the words I use or come up with your own words. You can pray. And heal it. If you want to do traditional prayer, dear Heavenly Father, please protect the Department of Defense and please make our ways your ways, make your ways our ways, and please keep us successful so that we may serve the people or serve your people or the people in a way that edifies you and protects them and protects all of us. In whatever name, pray in Jesus' name and Yahweh's name, in Jehovah's name, in Hashem's name, whatever it is we pray. Go to things that don't cost you. Well, it could cost you money. Might even cost you your job. Because when you're in the government, you notice that the more good things you do, the more they kill you. Right. Okay, so we got to be careful of these tariffs. I knew they were negotiation tools. So the Secretary of Treasury and all our financial economic gurus in the administration need to start speaking to people that are running businesses and ask them to please help us with pricing. Not sure, how and when and where, but again, you've reduced regulations. You've looking at helping them. They should help you and help you help the people. Let's see what goes on here. Trying to read an online. Oh, okay, I see. Some trans actress is apologizing for causing, pain by condemning George Floyd and hating on Islam. They keep putting shit up into the head, right? Well, the problem is that they clog the messaging system, right? So people can't hear each other or even just kind of help each other with inference. So they're bringing up a lot of news articles about the January 6th people that were pardoned because there's there's a large number of people, and of course some of those people would reoffend in some way. But I don't know if you could create a nexus between the two on some of this. So, like I said, tone it down and reduce the friction, because you're not in a campaign. You're not running for an office. You're in the office. Thank you, sir. And it also encourages people to curse you, right? And that takes you down. Right. So the military could be the bigger person here and just kind of bow out of requiring that flight path to be used, at least routinely. Right. Right. So, I don't know the full ins and outs, but if you're just doing routine transportation, you can fly from Belvar, roundabout over to Andrews and then into DC to do whatever your pickup is, if that's where you're going. Again, some of those pickups probably have to get close to, right, to Reagan National, but then again, you could still go in a roundabout way. Right. So they kind of said it's a secondary approach, but if you read between the lines, it's a routine secondary approach. Right. So if you're in a smaller commuter jet, I guess they call them, there's a chance you're going to have to do that. So I guess I'm going to go here for now. I'm all talked out for now. Stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.